So this month, we are looking at the theme of unity. And we have this global thing for 2023 of building a community. And each month we look at a different aspect of what it means to be in community together and to build a healthy and thriving community as we are moving into the construction of our new building here. I put some new pictures on the table back there, so if you haven't taken a look at them yet, these are pictures that were taken last week. We have paint on the walls and ceilings and doors, and the bathrooms are going to be beautiful. Thank you, Fran, for picking those wonderful colors for that, for what we have to experience in our new building. So we're very excited about that. And well, I'll talk about a little bit more about that towards the end here. But today's talk title is called The Beauty of Oneness. The beauty of oneness. Oneness, unity, this idea that we are all connected, that there is no separation between us and every other form of creation. You know, this creator that has brought everything into existence. Doesn't matter what you call it or how you think about it, but it is that one power, that one presence, that one love intelligence that is bringing everything into existence all of the time. I like to think of Spirit as this divine artist who is just absolutely having a ball, creating all kinds of different things, and knowing that every single one of its creations is absolutely gorgeous, absolutely perfect. I know as an artist and a crafter that oftentimes when I create something, I sit in judgment of it. Because, you know, we also have going on within me as my own individual things about, perfectionism and, stuff like that we're trying to work through. But I don't think Spirit has any of that. I think Spirit sees absolutely everything, from the slimiest slug to the most gorgeous beauty contestant, as absolutely the most perfect creation that it has ever done in that particular moment. And as they evolve, Spirit even thinks of them even more as beautiful, perfect, just the way that it is. We are divine beings having a human experience. We have an experience in this world. And that experience is shaped by lots of different things that happen around our world. Back in the prehistoric times, people would often just be in a group of people that were just like them. There wasn't a lot of diversity going on then. Everybody kind of was born into a group where they looked a lot like their parents and their grandparents and their aunts and uncles, and everybody was just kind of the same. And that was good for the time being. One of the things that allowed us to do as an organism is to learn to distinguish between things that didn't look like us. Because back in the prehistoric days, things that didn't look like us could be very dangerous. And so as a self-protective mechanism, we learned to distinguish and differentiate between this group of people and that group of people. And that was fine and good for what it was. But then as we began to develop into civilizations where we had lots of people and the people were merging with each other and interacting with each other, we still fell back to that idea of singling out differences. And unfortunately at that time then, what happens is those differences build and breed fear. Because we think, oh, this one's different than me. I don't know what's going to happen here. And so we begin to feel this sense of us and other. And other wasn't necessarily as good as us. And so as we move through and evolved in this world that we live in, I'm thrilled to see it turning to where we are honoring and recognizing and appreciating diversity instead of being quite so afraid of it. We still are a work in progress. We still have a way to go with that. But we are starting to make that evolutionary turn towards where we can begin to appreciate all of this magnificent beauty that Spirit has created for us in the forms of whatever it takes for each of us individually. And so one of my favorite people to read about and to strive to live to be is Mahatma Gandhi. And he says that our ability to reach unity in diversity will be the beauty and the test of a civilization. Our ability to reach unity in diversity will be the beauty and the test of a civilization. So if we can now begin to breach that divide that we evolutionarily created for ourselves and come back to that sense of unity as opposed to focusing so much on diversity and differences and being afraid of those differences, then I think we can begin to build a society and reach that goal that we have at Centers for Spiritual Living of creating this world that works for everyone in all of creation. So how do we do that? How do we actually begin to get to that place where we can appreciate and see unity in diversity? Remember, Ernest Holmes says that unity is not uniformity. We are not all meant to be the same, yet we are all one. So one of the ways that we can begin to do this is by focusing on our shared spiritual essence. At the heart of all creation is an energy, an intelligence, a love that is moving itself in and through and as that creation. That is our shared spiritual essence. That energy that is moving through me, that is moving through you, that is moving through the rocks and the trees and the wind. It is the same energy. It's the energy of God, as we sang about at the beginning of the service. It is the same thing. And as we begin to rest in that and to understand that and to experience that in deeper ways, then we begin to get a sense of there really isn't a lot of difference between you and I, or you and them, or us and them. All human beings are 99.4% genetically the same. 99.4%. Why do we spend so much of our time and so much of our energy and so much discord and so forth in our world on 0.6%? It can't make that much of a difference. And yet we've allowed it to. When we begin to focus on our shared spiritual essence, then we begin to experience a transformative state. And the more we experience that, the more easily we recognize that shared spiritual essence. We begin to transform ourselves and letting go of our preconceived ideas about who and what others are. This begins to foster that sense of belonging, that we are this one creation, this one product of a divine love intelligence that has brought each one of us into this place at this time. Understanding that we have this shared spiritual essence is a place of deep self-reflection, which leads to a sense of inner peace that isn't necessarily possible when we focus on differences. And building that within ourselves creates an environment where peace is possible outside of ourselves. How many of you are familiar with the practice of Ho'oponopono? So it's an ancient Hawaiian practice passed down from the kahunas. And it is about a lot about forgiveness. But what I love about it, as I was reading about the practice of it, one of the kahunas said, when I do this practice, I simply heal the place in me that created them, that created the situation, that created the problem. Because each one of us, through this energetic connection, is responsible for our part in creating any kind of discord we see out in the world. Even if our part is simply recognizing that there is discord. But when we do that work in spiritual consciousness, when we get to that place of inner peace within ourselves, we can heal the part of us that creates that contributes to that in the world. And this again begins to bridge those divides and promote harmony in a greater way than we have experienced before. When we recognize our spiritual essence and understand its connection to everyone around us, we begin to take authority for our lives. We begin to realize that we are not a victim to the experience of somebody else, to that other. And what a powerful thing that is. We have the 4 stages of spiritual development. And the first stage is that victim consciousness, where we believe something's being done to ourselves, done to us. Okay? When we take authority over our own lives, when we recognize our true spiritual essence, then we are no longer in that state of victim consciousness. We can move to the second stage of consciousness, which is the by me stage, which is the manifestor consciousness, which is where we begin to have a different experience of being around people who we think of as other. And then when we move to that third stage in consciousness, that's where we really begin to understand our shared spiritual essence. That is the through me stage, where we recognize and feel and find examples of spirit moving through us, manifesting itself in the world. And that's where we can begin to create this world that works for everyone. When we get to that place in consciousness where we are no longer at the effect of whatever is blowing in the wind that day, we can actually begin to experience a different outcome in our lives. This is where we make that conscious decision to be a place of love. That's where we make that conscious decision to heal whatever is inside of me that created this situation or led to this situation being possible in the world. When we get to that place of consciousness where we are understanding that we have this unity, that there is only this one power and presence, and it's the same one in me, same one in you, same one in everything. We can be that place of light, of love. We can be a walking truth in the world. I just was talking with someone this morning, and they said, I love talking to you because I always feel more at peace when I'm around you. And I think to myself, well, you should have seen me yesterday. But the truth is, the more I understand my own spiritual essence, then the more calm I become inside, the more peaceful I am inside. And that is felt by others who are around me. I'm sure you all have been around someone that you think, ooh, I want what they're having. I want to experience that on a deeper level. And I'm sure that every one of you has been a place where somebody else said that about you. As we move through our lives, we ebb and flow through being peace and love and light and being other than that. But wherever we go, we have that opportunity to take a look at what is happening inside of ourselves and know that it actually affects more than just me, more than just my own little world here. That place in consciousness where what I do matters more than I could ever think it would. And actually matters in ways I could never ever know. Because it's a ripple effect. It just goes forth from us. Just the same way that we can be at the effect of something that we didn't want to experience. Just think of somebody cutting you off on the freeway. You get that feeling, and there's that instantaneous, like, oh, that dirty so-and-so, what did they do that for? Why did they cut me off? We instantly can go right to that. Well, imagine if we were instantly going right to love and light and joy and peace as quickly as we can go to the other in our lives. As we begin to rest in this idea of this shared essence, it becomes more natural for us to be that place of light, to be that place where spirit is showing up in the world. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. Thank you, Eddie Watkins Jr., for that wonderful song. Each time we come into this place, into the world, we are being that place of love and light. And so, we have an opportunity every time. Which way is it going to be? Is it going to be a dark light? It's going to be a bright light. Is it going to be something other people want to be around? When we connect with others spiritually, we get to experience that true sense of namaste. Now, namaste, if you're not familiar with it, is a Sanskrit word that doesn't really have a single definition, but it basically means that the presence of the divine in me sees, recognizes, and honors the presence of the divine in you, and I bow to it. It is that sense of total unity with others. And so as we connect with other people in spirit, and we can actually begin to feel that sense of namaste, then every interaction becomes more peaceful. Every interaction that we have becomes a place for spirit to operate. I know for myself, I have recently had a practice of, as I'm in a situation and I start to feel tension and conflict, maybe I'm at the doctor's office and somebody's irritated because they can't get an appointment when they want it, and there's this tension that starts to build. I know that what I do then is simply go within and be a place of peace. And then I know that that place of peace spreads itself out. I can feel it. I can actually hear the anger and the frustrations dissipating from people as we take the presence of the divine in any situation that we are going into, knowing that God is the face of every person in the room, then we can be that place where spirit has a room to operate in us. You know, this can happen when we're actually physically in the presence, and it can also happen when we're thousands of miles apart. If I'm sitting in a place of calmness, peace, meditation, maybe prayer, whatever it is, the spiritual practice that I'm doing, and somebody in Indiana falls down on their knees and says, God, please help me, my consciousness has already aligned itself. I don't have to know that person's asked for prayer, but there's a space now because this universal energy is moving all around the planet. It's moving through everything. And so the more we are that place of love and peace and joy, then we can begin to experience it in a different way, and others experience it without us even knowing it. And that's how we begin to share our spiritual essence with all those around us in a way that we don't even have to know what happens to know that it's actually operating in the world. You know, I love science, so I was recently reading a study. It was done in 2014. And this study examined the results of over 700 studies of the brain during spiritual practices. And they used functional MRIs. A functional MRI is when a person is actively engaged in something while they're doing the MRI. And so this is all about people doing spiritual practice. And they found out that what happens is the parietal lobe, which is across the back of your head here, lights up. Now, the parietal lobe is also all about all of the sensory experiences we have in our bodies, the somatic responses that we have in our bodies. And so, as we're engaged in spiritual practices and that parietal lobe lights up, then our physical experience becomes different. And as that physical experience becomes different, our energy changes. And so if we're doing spiritual practice in a group with other people, imagine what that energy now does. It has that place to really light up the room, to really become that place where that shared spiritual essence is really tangibly felt for us. You know, as this parietal lobe lights up, the other thing that it does is it stops the chattering of that, what the Buddhists call the monkey mind. I'm sure you all know what that is. That's that little chattering voice that's always, no matter what's happening, it's telling you gloom and doom. That's what the monkey mind does. It's gloom and doom for the most part. You know, it's where fear is bred. It's where differences are accentuated in that chattering ego mind that is constantly wanting us to stay safe, not get involved, just be kind of small and not do anything else. That's where that chattering voice comes from. I love Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul. He calls it the inner roommate. And he says sometimes you really need to evict that inner roommate. Really need to get rid of that kind of thing. Spiritual practice helps us do that. It quiets that monkey mind. It quiets that place of disconnection, and it allows a place for a more divine connection to come forth through you. And so there are lots of ways that you can begin to do this. Personally, I love to do some kind of a meditation that is active in some way. One of the ways that I do is chanting meditations. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we have the Ho'oponopono. The Ho'oponopono has 4 simple lines. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you, and thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you, and thank you. Very simple practice. So when I get into a difficult situation, I pull that out. Pull that out of my reservoir of tips and tricks for spiritual growth, and begin to just say that over in my head. If I am irritated by the guy that's cut me off on the road, I can say the Ho'oponopono. And it only takes a couple of recitations of it, and I'm good. What's happened doesn't bother me anymore, at least for that moment. Sometimes it's a work in progress where we have to do it over and over again. But what am I doing? I'm healing that place inside of myself that is contributing to the ill feelings that are going on around me. Okay? So let's do a little practice of this. So if you would, let's play with me here. So I invite you to get comfortable. Maybe taking a nice deep breath, just kind of stir things up inside. Get that energy moving. Now I want you to bring to mind a difficult situation you may have faced recently, a challenging person you may have had to interact with recently, a situation, anything that's happening in your life. Just kind of, doesn't have to be really bad. It could be that you were supposed to get something in the mail and it didn't come yet or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. Something that's got you worked up a little bit. Just bring that to mind. All right, and as you get that feeling of what's happening in that situation, let's do this out loud, folks, okay? Just repeat after me. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Again. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. One more time. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And just breathe into that for a moment. If the situation comes back up in your head, just repeat that silently to yourself. And continue to breathe. And when you feel complete, just take in a nice deep breath and let it all out. It's a very simple practice. Pull it out of your pocket anytime you need it. Use it for any situation. And watch what happens in your life. Watch how you shift your energy, and then things begin to change around you. Now, a couple of caveats to that. Notice how you're saying it. If you're saying, I'm sorry, that's one thing. If you're saying, well, I'm sorry, a whole different feeling. Notice what's going on inside of yourself. Also, you may find, if you do a little research on this, that sometimes the phrases are in different order. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which order you put them in. Some people like, I love you at the end. Some people want to say, forgive me before I'm sorry. Some people don't even want to say, I'm sorry. Do what works for you and use it the way that it works best for you in your life. Find those opportunities when you are in distress of any sort to simply go within and tap into that shared spiritual essence and allow your energy to build from that. For that's what's going to create that world that works for everyone. So let's take this into prayer. I invite our spiritual practitioners to surround us, holding us in love and light, consciousness and truth. I pray with my eyes closed. If that's good for you, go ahead and close your eyes. And And so right here and right now, I feel that divine essence. I feel it moving through me. I feel it multiplying itself in everyone in this room. I feel it moving beyond the borders of the walls and the doors. I feel it riding the light waves and the breeze. I see it expressing itself in the leaves on the trees and the blades of grass in the yard. I hear it in the buzz of the insects and the smell of the flowers. For I know no matter how it shows up, there is only this one. And this one is perfect. It is that place of unconditional love, of power, of presence. I know that there is a grace that is operating itself in, through, and as all creation, including myself. I know that I am one with that creative love intelligence. And as I know this is true for me, I know it's true for everyone. For there is no separation. There is only this oneness, manifesting itself in, through, and as all life. And so knowing this truth, I speak my word. I know that right here and right now, each one of us is the perfection of that love intelligence. I know that each one of us is a light unto the world, a place where beauty shows up. I know that each one of us is held in the heart of the divine and loved unconditionally, just the way that we are. For I know that Spirit sees nothing but beauty in each of its creations. And I know that that feeling of energy, of love and beauty is growing within each one of us. And it is flowing forth through our own cellular nature out into the world, connecting us with those that we would see as other, connecting us in this sense of beauty and perfection, love and light. I know this force is continuous, ever operating, that it knows no boundaries, it sees no borders or walls or any form of separation. And how good it is to know this, to feel it, to see it operating in the world, right here and right now. And so I focus my attention on that, giving it a place to operate within my own consciousness and allowing that to spread forth from me. I give thanks for this knowing. I give thanks for the action and the operation of the divine moving through me right here and right now. And I release this word into the law. Knowing it is complete, I let it go. And together we say, and so it is.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Join me now. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only
Beautiful. Love that song.